Good afternoon and welcome to today's TUG Connects 365 webinar. As you settle in and get ready for the start of today's program, let me give a brief introduction for TUG, the usergroup.org, for both our current members and those of you who represent organizations that have not yet joined our online community of Infor distribution software users. Today, I'd like to take a brief moment and give an IP announcement. Proprietary information is included in this, and they will make today's slide deck and content available on their concierge site at Infor. Well, we've all heard that phrase that knowledge is power, and I can say with confidence that after today's presentation, you'll be waking up tomorrow with a little more of both. TUG webinars, online forums, and member events facilitate the timely exchange of ideas and information to help you work smarter and with a lot more confidence. And that is a powerful combination. If you're currently a member, it pays to get even more involved. And if you're not, please visit our website to discover why 2,300 heads are better than one to help you be the best at what you do. This should be a wonderful session, and we are delighted today to have Henn, who is going to be controlling the Q&A, Michael Mazzoni and Brandon Stacken here, sharing their wealth of information as they review CloudSuite Distribution key highlights year in review. Michael, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Gloria.
And we have your slide in sight.
Terrific. So good afternoon, everybody. Glad to be here to talk a little bit with you today about our CloudSuite Distribution 2020 year in review. And so the meeting agenda today, or the presentation agenda, really what we wanted to do is we wanted to go through and talk about all the great work that our product management and development folks have accomplished this year with regards to CloudSuite Distribution. And as I think many of you understand and know, CloudSuite Distribution really is a complete suite of solutions. And so it encompasses not just the core transactional functionality of the ERP, but it also enables that technology platform with the Infor operating services. There are those edge solutions that enable our customers to take their businesses beyond kind of the day-to-day blocking and tackling of the transactional system. And then, of course, with CloudSuite Distribution, you're getting out of the box distribution analytics to really provide better visibility into your organization. And so today we're going to really break down the work and the kind of the year in review capabilities that have been added in each of those different areas. Before I jump in, I always like just to kind of reiterate what drives us at Infor with regards to distribution. And so one of the key things that we look at is what's driving the industry itself. And we've really focused on these 5 key pillars. So are we enabling our customers to provide their customers with the best experience possible, allowing them to do business no matter which, how they want to do business, and really providing the highest levels of customer service. So there's a huge focus there. Are we enabling our customers to expand the value that they offer to their customers? Whether that be through things like service and rentals, managed inventory solutions, configuration solutions. So, again, providing the capabilities and the tools to expand the value that distributors offer their customers. We're always looking at margin erosion, and really this kind of can be looked at from 2 perspectives. Are we optimizing top line revenue and profitability, and are we minimizing the costs associated with running your business? And so again, when we look at the features and functions and the tools that we're offer, how can they play into enabling optimized profitability, minimizing cost and margin erosion? Big data insight, of course, this is a big buzzword, but we know that our customers generate a ton of information on a daily basis just by running their business, taking orders, pick, pack, ship, invoicing the customer, collecting cash, thousands or tens of thousands of times a day. How can we take and leverage all of this great data and look for opportunities not only to analyze and report against it, but maybe to use some predictive analytics, maybe to look for optimization opportunities, and even all the way through to artificial intelligence and machine learning. And then finally, we recognize that within the distribution industry today, we've got 4, maybe 5 generations of workers. We need to be able to provide, our solutions need to be able to provide really a consumer grade, intuitive experience that simplifies processes, that puts the information where it needs to be to allow your users to be as efficient as effective as possible in serving your customers. So starting with this first section, again, we're going to talk about the Infor operating services and how we've leveraged that from a distribution perspective to, again, improve and enable our customers' experience. And so we continue to add more and more ION APIs, and this really facilitates a lot of different tool sets, whether it's the workflow engines that we're using to drive approval processes or drive controlled business processes across the organization, or whether it's taking advantage of integrations to external Infor or third-party solutions. Those APIs really become critical. We've made improvements in the extensibility tool set of CloudSuite Distribution. And just, basic, simple example, the opportunity to now do things like conditional color coding into the values that are presented on the different screens for CloudSuite Distribution. So for example, if I'm in order entry and I'm adding a line item and I override the price, we can determine with the extensibility tool set if the price is overridden outside of an acceptable tolerance. I want to change the color on that field from green to red, indicating that there's, again, from a user experience perspective, that's something that maybe they need to be aware of, need to think about, or going to need to justify. We look at Infor document management, again, a core component of CloudSuite Distribution. And so we continue to enhance the capabilities there. We've added additional document types as core standard document types. We've taken the safety data sheets or MSDS sheets and not only allowed you to store them, but now allow you to tie those to products, to automate the generation or delivery of those documents as necessary. We've included now the ability to use Infor document management for your forms output engine. So the generation of the pick tickets and the acknowledgements and invoices and purchase orders, et cetera, eliminating the need for a third-party forms management tool or forms document output tool. This year we adopted Data Lake. And so with CloudSuite Distribution, essentially what we're doing is we're replicating in near real time 150 tables out of your SX or CloudSuite Distribution transactional database. And so that offers a number of different opportunities, whether it be leveraging that near real-time replication for query and reporting, whether it be taking advantage of that for the distribution analytics that Brandon's going to talk about in a little bit, or whether it be using it, again, for that Coleman artificial intelligence platform to start to facilitate the machine learning capabilities. And then again, we continue to push forward with Coleman AI, including the formation recently of a customer advisory council that we are working with to determine use cases to deploy the artificial intelligence capabilities and publish those out to our customers. So now we're going to jump into the core functionality. The good news here, this year we added 103 new features within CloudSuite Distribution and the core transactional system. So a lot of momentum there. Just from a high level perspective, a lot of these features or a lot of these enhancements include things like improved visibility throughout the application. And really what we're talking about here is, presenting or offering the option to present additional data elements, whether it's in the grids and the inquiry screens, whether it's in some of the transactional areas. Again, we continue to provide those out of the box options to really personalize the screens to include the right information so that your users have what they need to take the appropriate action and make the right decision. I'm not necessarily going to read through all of these. I know we've got a lot to get through in a short period of time, but hopefully everybody can see just some of the areas. In addition, as we start to get into some of the specific features or functions that have been added, this is a subset, but we wanted to highlight some of the big ones, some of the ones that we thought were fairly exciting. I do want to mention, by the way, and I apologize, I don't remember the exact number, but out of that 103 enhancements this year, I think the majority of those came from our enhancement request system. So they came through customer requests for improvements. And that's really what's driving our roadmap from a product management and a development perspective. So I encourage everybody to continue to take advantage of the enhancement request system, to go in there, to add their enhancements, to review what other customers have posted, comment, vote. Those votes are how those enhancement requests are prioritized within our product management team. So just talking about some of the capabilities, some of the new features that were released this year. Here's one: operational credit holds or operational hold codes. And so historically, if you looked at a sales order and we were talking about a hold code, there was one value, and it was, is the order on hold, a credit hold or not? While there are other reasons that an order can go on hold, we only had the one value, and either you approve it or you don't. What we've done now is we've enhanced that functionality. So the order will show as on hold or not, yes or no, but we also have the ability now to identify why an order is on hold. Is it on hold for a margin hold? Is it on hold for credit card purposes? Is it on hold for credit reasons? And so that hold code list that's previously defined, we can now take advantage of, and you can also drive the approval processes to the appropriate user. So a credit hold needs to go through the credit management department. However, a margin hold needs to go through a sales management or a sales approval process. Until both hold codes are released by the appropriate parties, the order will remain on hold. There's also obviously an audit trail as to when it was released, who released it, the resolution, etc. We added a big feature here called catch weight. And this really plays into not only the products, but it plays through the purchase order and PO receiving point through to the sales order and sales order shipping point. So we can now identify certain products as catch weight products. We can determine how they're priced versus how they're inventoried or received or shipped. So I may be selling something by the case, but I'm receiving it per pound, and that case weight doesn't always equal a fixed conversion. So we need to be able to identify the actual weight at receiving time so that we can track what's in stock. We need to be able to identify the actual weight shipped so that we can calculate the appropriate extended cost or sell price, excuse me, for that particular customer order for the invoice. So again, catch weight is now an option with these products where we do have that variable weight, and we had the issue where we need to be able to not only capture it, but have it extend to how we pay for it and how we bill our customers for it. This is a simple, but I believe powerful enhancement here added in 2020. So this is the ability now when you are in order entry to change the order type on the fly. So for example, if I went in and started as a quote and realized quickly that I need to be in a regular stock order, I can make that change on the fly. Same thing, if I'm in a stock order and I want to back that into a quote, I can make that change on the fly. So it simplifies the process, eliminates the need to save, to copy, to cancel, whatever the case might be, and again, simplifies the process for the end user. We've added cartonization capabilities. And so the functionality here enables me to take advantage of the dimensions of a particular product to identify the appropriate carton or packaging for those particular products. And then actually, as I enter the sales order and it gets dropped to the warehouse, the cartonization capability will determine which cartons or package types need to be used, which products should go into each package type. And then also we are identifying which products are in which box or in which package. And that information is available on the pick tickets and the invoices and now back in the order itself to be used for different purposes. There's some simple functionality that was added as well. And then this was another one that came from a customer request, but the ability now for product notes to determine which product notes print for which customers, whether it's all customers or specific customers, all vendors or specific vendors, and then what documents I want those notes to print on. So, again, basic elements of kind of how we can take advantage of notes, but creating a much more robust experience with regards to how you can take advantage of notes, product notes within CloudSuite Distribution. At the customer ship to level and then at the order header and line level, we now have the ability to identify 5 unique sales reps and actually determine a commission percentage rate for each of those reps. And again, can be defined at the customer level. It can be then defaulted in at the sales order level and overridden all the way down to the sales order line level as necessary. So I just want to take a second, and we certainly want to make sure that the information's coming across and see if there were any questions from the group. And if not, we'll move forward.
Mike, the only one that was posted was if it was possible to get the list of tables and columns that are being replicated to Data Lake. And that information is available on Infor documentation, docs.infor.com.
Thank you, Catherine. And I will just follow up and say I think we continue to add additional. We think we've got the majority of what our customers' needs would be covered this year with what we're replicating, but we do continue to add and to look at opportunities to add additional data elements to the data lake. And certainly, as you review the list and you determine, well, this field needs to be there, etc. Don't hesitate to let us know. Again, through the enhancement request system is the best first pass in terms of us understanding what needs to be added as we move forward.
Before you move on, there was another question that just came through and I want to clarify.
Okay.
They did ask as far as which version each enhancement was released. But please note, everyone, these are monthly updates, so they go to the current version. You aren't able to go out and directly pick and choose different monthly updates. So you would be able to have access to each and every one of these with the latest current release that was just sent out in December.
Thanks again, Catherine. Yeah, and we will mention this again at the end, but out on Infor Concierge, everyone should have access to the release notes. We're also publishing now release videos or short recordings that highlight a couple of the key features for each month's release. Okay, continuing forward. And so one of the big focuses for us this year, as we see CloudSuite Distribution and the web UI maturing, we see more and more adoption, which we're very excited about. We've recognized that there are some things that we can do from what we call a quality of life perspective. So there was a focus from a cash receipts, accounts receivable, and an accounts payable perspective this year in terms of improving the capabilities and simplifying the usability of those screens within CloudSuite Distribution. So, first and foremost, something like cash receipts quick entry. This is, think about heads down entry. I've got the check from the customer, the payment, I've got the remittance advice. I want to kind of go and bang in the invoices they're paying, the amount they're paying, the discount they're taking, rather than having to review the list and select from the list. And so again, it's a simple enhancement, but really a usability, a quality of life improvement. We had, this was another one that came from a customer. Those customers that use ship to records within a customer record, so multiple ship tos for that particular customer. Often that can be a lot of ship tos. They wanted the ability for changes that were made to the customer bill to record to flow through to the ship to records. So what we've done is we've now enabled that, but we've also enabled the opportunity to say at the ship to level, do I want to default from the customer or not? So you don't have to. And which of the fields that can be defaulted from the customer records do you want to turn on? So by no means do you have to say everything that I change in the customer flows down to the ship to. You can be very selective with regards to what fields and even more specifically, which ship tos you want to update. Simplifies maintenance, creates consistency within our data so that you're not creating those discrepancies between the customer and the ship to. There was another one that I thought I had here, and apparently I didn't add the slide, but I do want to just, and maybe it was because it was from December of last year, which wouldn't be 2020, but I'll mention it anyway. And that's AR cash receipts reversal, because we're all still very excited about that capability. So the ability within cash receipts to reverse a payment for multiple purposes, whether it's not sufficient funds, that also reinstates the open invoices, reinstates the original dates, invoice date, due date, etc. So moving on to the accounts payable side of the equation, there was a lot of work done here, again, to streamline and simplify the process for those end users. So, we talk about changes to the AP Invoice Center, which is where you're entering both your trade and your expense vendor invoices, where you're dealing with the reconciliations, where you're reviewing the errors, whatever they might be. We've simplified the screen in order to more quickly review the errors, override the tolerances, rather than having to go to another menu dropdown. Those buttons were made quickly and easily available. We've added quick line entry for accounts payable entry. So for example, if you have a vendor, if you have a large PO with dozens or even hundreds of line items, and you're getting an invoice from the vendor that only contains select lines for that particular billing, you want to be able to go and just quickly enter the PO, enter the lines that you're being billed for, reconcile, and move on, rather than again having to sort and search through those dozens or hundreds of lines to find the line items that you're being invoiced for at this point. The ability to do something as simple as look for default in information based on the purchase order number being entered as I enter the vendor invoice. So rather than having to go and search and select the appropriate vendor, let me just key in or search and select the purchase order number, and it will back populate based on the information associated with that particular purchase order. If there are instances where the vendor is showing me an invoice that has a a net cost but doesn't have a unit cost represented, we now have the opportunity to update the net cost and back calculate the unit cost to determine if it's within tolerance and if it can move forward if there is a discrepancy. So again, just a user experience function, simplifies the entry. So hopefully what we just did there was we eliminated the need for a calculator, right? Why do I need a calculator? I've got this computer that should be the best calculator in the world. In terms of entering those trade invoices, again, workflow enhancements. So historically, what happened, you would enter the invoice header detail, and then in order to make changes or updates at the line level, there were a number of clicks where we had to drill down to that detail one line at a time. So we now have the option to do line level detail as the initial view, and then an editable or in-grid edits can be made and updated on the fly. So we've eliminated the need now again to drill down to detail. Of course, that capability is still there. If I need to get down to more detail or drill back to the original purchase order, I can, but the in-grid edits, simplify the entry in the process accordingly. And again, some additional AP Invoice Center, again, initial functionality. We would enter an invoice. It would take me back to the start page Well, I don't want to go back and have to say I'm creating a new one each time. It's only a couple clicks, but it's a couple extra clicks we don't need. Now we can simply say, save the one I just entered and prompt me for a new. So I'm, again, streamlining that process. And then in the invoice add mode, I have the ability to check or uncheck that. So if I am working on an invoice and I want it to automatically prompt me to enter the next, I can. If I uncheck that, it'll take me back because maybe I'm doing one at a time and they're in no particular sequence. So that was just a small sampling of the core functionality or the CSD transactional system functionality that was added. Once again, over 100 new features added this year, varying from as simple as user experience and visibility through to those larger solutions and changes, whether it's the quality of life on the accounting side or big solutions like order hold management and catch weight. I wanted to spend just a few minutes here talking about some of the edge solutions and what we've done. And so we continue to enable our customers, and we talked earlier about adding value to the relationship that you have with your customer. And we look at this as this is really how we're rounding out and providing a complete solution suite, not just an ERP or a core transactional system. So Infor Rhythm for Commerce, which is our e-commerce platform, added more than 60 new features this year. And there's a significant push for the upcoming year to continue that momentum and even increase the output. From a proof of delivery perspective, so with CloudSuite Distribution, we have mobile proof of delivery capabilities as core component. We've taken the signature itself and the documents, and we've tied that into Infor document management. So not only is it those documents quickly and easily visible from order inquiry as an example, but your signature is going to be embedded in the document that's generated from IDM. And we're also capturing a number of additional attributes. So the date timestamp on the delivery, the resolution code, who made the delivery, who's not only who signed for it, but the typed version of the name of the person that signed for it, because we all know those signatures aren't always the most legible. With our project job management module, we saw what I think is a terrific user interface and improvement. So from a look and feel, that consistency is across the solution suite is there. We've seen improvements in performance with project job management this year. From a feature function perspective, 15 new major features, including things to do with commissions and split releases, as well as 35 minor enhancements to that project job management tool set. Storeroom Mobile, which of course is our managed inventory solution that enables our customers to manage their inventory and their customers' owned inventory at the customer locations, whether it be at their warehouse or facility, at a job site, in their vehicles. So what we've done is we've made some improvements from a user experience perspective, and we've also improved the mobile capabilities to do things like simplified count entry. The concept being that not only will the distributor's employees be taking advantage of this, so too can the customers. Your customers take advantage of this mobile tool. And so we need to really streamline the user experience and simplify the entry and capture of data. And then from a CloudSuite field service perspective, we continue to see a lot of momentum here with regards to distributors expanding their offering or increasing the level of service or rentals capabilities that they provide their customers. And so again, another push this year, over 113 new features added to CloudSuite field service, and we continue forward there. So again, I'll take another pause here before I pass the baton to Brandon to talk about distribution analytics.
So Mike, there aren't any more new questions. However, I want to add one other feature that right now plays with the Rhythm e-commerce solution, the Infor PIM, which we're coining for phase 1, the e-commerce catalog, is available with our January release. That will be packaged with Rhythm. It will not be an added extra cost. So we're pretty excited about that. And then starting with the 2021, the Infor PIM, we'll be starting to work with our ERP solution, so with CloudSuite Distribution. So the goal with that is to be able to have the Infor PIM be bidirectional between the ERP and your e-commerce solution.
I love it, Catherine. That's awesome. Thank you. So Brandon, I think I'm going to pass it to you.
All right. All right. Can you see that there?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. So what I'm going to cover here for the next 10 minutes or so is just kind of a recap on all that's been accomplished with our Infor distribution burst content within the last year and kind of where we're at today with that content as well. So if we kind of look back at 2019 and really kind of the beginning of 2019, we've really come a long ways with our pre-configured content that's available for our distribution customers. And originally when that content was released, we just had what I'd call a handful of sales, accounts receivable, and accounts payable dashboards and reports that were available out of the box. But over the last 12 months, the amount of content that's not available as a part of standard has really taken off. So not only have we expanded on the number of sales and AR and AP dashboards and reports that were originally out there, but we've also added additional functional areas to the pre-configured content, such as purchasing, inventory control, and most recently, general ledger. So altogether, that's around 70 different dashboards and over 100 different reports that can be leveraged out of the box with this Infor distribution analytics content. And just to kind of highlight some of that new content, here in the purchasing collection, you can see we've really added a lot of key performance indicators and reports that allow our distributors to have better visibility into things like vendor performance. So here on this dashboard, we can see things like total ordered amount versus received amount, or overall fill rate and lead time average broken out by either company, by warehouse, by vendor, or we can even get as granular as the product level. So we can use filters that are associated with these different dashboards to drive how that information is presented on the screen to really give the end users more self-service capabilities into that detail. Or on this purchasing dashboard, we're focused more on fill rate performance, either by vendor or by product line. So having better visibility into that performance detail can really allow you to communicate that information to your vendor and hopefully drive better performance for the future. If we take a look at some of the content from the inventory control collection, here you can see we're really focused on providing more or easier visibility into things like turns over a certain time period, or being able to provide insight into things like average inventory value versus your current inventory value, and being able to break out those metrics by company, by warehouse, by product line, and so on and so forth. Or here we've actually broken out things like usage and hits. So whether you want to see that rolled up by product category, or maybe you simply just want to apply a filter to see if an individual product over time has and how that's affected by usage and hits. And you're not locked into what you're seeing here on these screens. It's not a what you see is what you get. You can really start to take this content and make it your own, but this is really a great starting point for a lot of our customers to be able to leverage this detail out of the box. Now, the most recent content that we've pushed out is the general ledger content, which is really focused around balance sheet and income statement detail. So here at the balance sheet analysis dashboard, I can see some high-level KPIs more focused around the balance sheet, such as assets and liabilities and how that's trending over time. Or here we can see more of an actual balance sheet. So a part of that GL content are templates that allow you to set up your own GL account hierarchy and report up against 10 different levels. Then using the ad hoc capabilities of this tool set, you can really kind of format and design the reports however you see fit, or leverage the standard format here as you see out of the box. And then the same type of look and feel here on the income statement side, but different types of metrics that we're looking at, of course. So you can use the filters to kind of just drive the way these reports show up on the screen. And as we look at this next snapshot here, you can see I completely altered the formatted and added things like quarters and sub-summary detail. Might have cluttered it up a little bit more, but this is just to go in to show you that there's a lot of flexibility to work with, but it's a great starting point for our customers out of the box with this content. Now we're still technically in the month of December, and with that will come the December release of the content, which is we have some great new content and enhancements that'll be available well before the end of the year is up. So I wanted to make sure to include this because it is going to be a part yet of 2020. So technically not available yet, but either by, I can't remember if it's this Saturday or next Saturday, it will be generally available. So one of the big components of this next release is our pre-configured TWL dashboards and reports. So for those of you that leverage Total Warehouse Logistics or TWL, you'll now be able to take advantage of some pre-configured reports and dashboards for that out of the box. So here we're looking at a productivity analysis dashboards with some different transaction types that we can view. Or here we're looking more at picking analysis detail to see things like picks by employee or by warehouse or picking trends over time. And then here on the receiving analysis dashboard, we have a very similar look and feel to what you just saw on the picking dashboard, but obviously more receiving oriented. And then same type of thing here with this put away analysis dashboard, same types of look and feel to what you saw on the previous. And then also a cycle count performance dashboard. So just like the other functional areas that we've already pushed out there, we'll continue to add to this over time. And as we get customer feedback and other ideas for reports and metrics that would be valuable to our customers, we'll continue to add that content to these packages. Now we're also adding a trial balance dashboard to the GL content with this next release. And just like the other financial statements, you'll have the ability to manipulate this and really kind of go out there and make it your own. And then another big enhancement that's been added to the content is the drill back capabilities from a burst report into the core ERP. And again, this will be dropped yet in the December release. So here we're currently looking at a burst report with a bunch of order numbers on it. And if I drill into that blue text, it takes me right into a functional area of the core ERP system. So because I clicked on an order number in that burst report, it took me directly into OEIO or order inquiry to look at that order within the core ERP. So if I'm looking at an order number, it'll take me to order inquiry. If I'm looking at things like a customer name or customer ID in a report, I can drill in and it'll take me to things like ARIC or customer inquiry. Or we even have drill backs to take you into product inquiry, journal inquiry, or GL account inquiry, and so on and so forth. So having that drill back capability will really allow your users to have quicker and easier access to more granular detail right in the ERP from a burst report with one click of the button there. And then last but not least is the changes that are going to be made to the user interface and the look and feel of the content. So as many of you are probably already aware of, Infor owns its own design firm called Hook and Loop, who has now published out a new standard for look and feel of the burst content, which is what I would call much more consistent with the look and feel of CloudSuite Distribution and SX.e Web UI. So here in this slide, we can see side by side just an example of what the current burst home screen looks like versus what it'll look like in the next release or this December release here. And then here's another side-by-side comparison of what the current KPI dashboard looks like compared to the new look and feel that will be released. And that style template will be applied to all dashboards and reports that we have out there as well. So something we're looking forward to. So overall, 2020 was a very busy year for our distribution burst content, but this is something that will continue to grow and get better as we continue to push out more and more content, as well as when we hear more and more feedback from our customers on what types of reports they're interested in and what other functional areas that we can look at publishing some content out for. So that said, let's kind of open things back up to some Q&A and let's see if there's any questions that came through chat or anything, Mike or Catherine.
Yes, so the first question, Brandon, I have a customer that would love to be able to share some of these key dashboards with their vendor to show the vendor their performance. Are they able to extract this data in such a way that they can share with the vendors?
Yes, so for dashboards and reports, you don't actually need a burst license to be able to receive or send reports to your vendors or even to your customers. As long as it's going through email through the scheduling feature, you have the ability to send those out. So if you want to send monthly invoice reports to your customers, letting them know, here's your open invoices, you can definitely do that. Or send certain reports, scorecards to your vendors on a weekly basis, letting them know their overall performance. You know, you can definitely do that with the tool set, and there's no license required to receive any of that via email.
Thank you, Brandon. Second of all, when it comes to the distribution analytics data, do you have to be on the most current release to get them? And I do want to put a little caveat here, Brandon, before you answer this question, because the individual happens to be on 11.19.7, which right away would flag me that you are on GUI and not Web UI. So I just want the response to keep that in mind.
Yeah, so can you just repeat the first portion of that question? I'm sorry, Catherine.
No problem. They're asking about when it comes to the distribution analytics data, do you have to be on the most current release? So basically, to take advantage of the TWL that just came out, do you have to be on the current release of Web UI, so 11.20.12, to be able to take advantage of it?
I want to say I believe so. I can double check. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. That's why I want to double check, but I believe you have to be on the most recent version of SX.e Web UI in order to take advantage of that content. I will clarify that, and we can get an answer to whomever asked that, but I will double check.
Yeah, and my other feedback to that, folks, is that the analytics now are being pulled from the data lake. So there's a good opportunity that you don't have to be on the very most current release. However, there could be a challenge with the 11.19.7 if you are only on the GUI component. There is also a question about who do we contact if we find a problem with the CSD analytics report. Please send in an Infor Extreme support ticket, and then it will be directed to the appropriate team. Another question is, Brian and Mike, is the pre-built content auto update like CSD is? And the answer to that is correct. Yes, it is.
Yes, so it depends on the deployment, I believe. If it's on premise, there might be a little bit of a different setup to that. But with that content, yes, it is. If you're in a cloud-based environment, it comes out on a monthly basis, you're going to want to make a copy, which is key. You're going to want to make a copy of that space. So if you have anything that you've written custom, that it doesn't get overwritten by that new release as it comes out. So that's important to keep in mind.
What would you guys say is the best browser to use for CloudSuite distribution in burst? Chrome, Edge, or Firefox, or?
Personally, for me, I use Chrome and I think it works great. I've heard some great things about Edge as well, but Chrome seems to work pretty well for me. And I'm a PC user. Mike's a Mac user. So Mike, I don't know if you want to weigh in.
Well, I use Chrome as well. I think from what I have heard, Chrome and Edge would be your best bets. And not being a super technical guy, I'm enough to be dangerous. I believe that they're optimized for HTML5.
I also did put in the chat, folks, for the more specific for the data lake doc. It is in the CloudSuite distribution configuration guide, and it's Appendix I, supported tables for data lake. However, there's way too many fields to also have in that doc, but you are able to see the fields in the data lake content, which is provisioned in the suite. And I'm looking real quick. There's another question. How do you get a list of the fields that are included in burst analytics content? So, and Brian or Brandon and Mike, you guys can correct me here, but that would be the same kind of answer with the data lake content.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, those tables and fields.
Yep.
And it looks like that is all of the questions.
Very good.
Well, I want to thank everyone. Brandon, if you want to jump back on here on camera so everyone can get a good look at you and kind of give you a visual thank you. First of all, I want to thank everyone who has joined us today. As always, it's special to have everyone here. Also, Catherine, I think you and I think this is number 6 for us. Michael, great to have you with us today. Brandon, nice to have you back as well. And thanks to everyone who has joined us online for continuing to get more and more versed into the Infor product line. TUG members, just a quick reminder, if you still have any questions, please feel free to post them to the appropriate TUG forum board. We have people there monitoring them. And if anything else pops up and comes to mind, you can always get an answer there. And make sure to watch for registration information for our next upcoming webinar, which is in your inbox this afternoon. Tuesday, Unform is going to be sharing with you their cloud printing software option through Cirrus Print. So you can go ahead and register for that. For those of you who are not yet TUG members, have to say why, please go and visit www.theusergroup.org and join us today. And on that note, again, thank you, everyone. Oh, yes, ma'am.
I would just like to just one last thank you to our whole customer organization. I have enjoyed each and every one of you this year, 2020. It's been pretty exciting. We look forward to a great 2021. And I do wish each and every one of you and your families a very safe and happy holiday.
Well said, Catherine. And I have nothing else to include other than saying that's a wrap.